Alright, today I'm going to be doing a hack on a Panasonic DMC SZ7. I'm going to be hacking this one for daytime videos and nighttime still pictures with a slave flash. And so I'm going to start by removing the screws around the perimeter. There's two on the right hand side, then there's two down on the bottom next to the tripod mounting hole, one on the bottom on the left corner, and one on this left hand side. Need to keep these screws in order because the two by the tripod mounting hole are longer than the two that are on the right, and the one on this corner, and the one on the left hand side is a little bit shorter screw. So just keep all those in order when you taking them out. Alright, now that I've got all the screws out, I'm going to start trying to separate the camera. Start by working that back cover. Alright, I've got the back cover off. And now we're going to need to remove our menu button board here. You can get right up under this bottom right corner, and with a little flat screwdriver just kind of pop that up. It's got a little connector there. And we also want to remove our plastic piece here, so you can pop that up at the bottom left, or bottom right, excuse me, and then work that off. And now we can get our LCD screen off because I'm going to be routing my hack wires behind the LCD bracket, and probably drill a hole here in the tripod mounting hole that I can exit my wires out. There's one little catch right here on the bottom. Kind of work that up, and then lift up on the left hand side, rotate that LCD screen over, and then lift the latch for the ribbon right here. And as I always say, be careful with your latches, you don't want to break those. And then you can slide that ribbon out once you have the latch disengaged. Now there's a connector right here on the main board and the top power board. And first we need to get the front cover off, I'm sorry. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Just work that front cover off. Now we can pop this power board off of the main board. This little connector, just gently lift up here and that will separate, and then we can slide the power bar off. And there's a little clear lens that sometimes is going to want to fall out, that goes right in this area here. It's for the AF illuminator, so just keep up with that so you don't lose it. Alright, now before you start going any further with this, I would suggest that you discharge your capacitor for the flash, and you can use this solder contact right here. And then on the other side of the capacitor, if I can get it around here where you can see that, there's a couple little solder spots right here, and you can use those. So use your discharge resistor with one lead here and one on this solder location here, or there's two small solder locations right there that you could use. Hold that resistor there for a few seconds and discharge the voltage out of that capacitor so we don't short anything out. And show you the external battery external locations for this camera while I have this right here. Your battery tabs are here right against the green board on this right hand side. You need to solder wire there for your external negative, and the one to the far left is going to be for your battery external positive location. So I'm going to go ahead and discharge the capacitor, and once I do that, then you can take the top trim piece off of here by removing this screw here, and there's one by the capacitor that we'll need to remove, and then lift up this latch for the microphone ribbon. Disengage the ribbon, and then you can get the green board off of the trim piece by disengaging a couple of plastic clips right here on this side, and that'll allow you to get that board loose. So I'm going to go ahead and do all that and come back. Alright, I've already discharged my capacitor, but I just wanted to show you the rest of this. I've already got my 2 screws removed that I mentioned, and I'm going to lift up this latch right there for the microphone ribbon. And this camera's actually got dual microphones on it, left and right, so I'm going to be hacking it for dual microphones outside the camera from to go with my video. So anyway, we just work that green board loose from these 2 latches right here, or 2 plastic catches, and then you can start separating it, and you'll see the dual microphones here, and also the speaker. So pull that speaker up out of this little slot, set that to the side. Alright, this Panasonic has the slide switch for power, and on the back side of that switch you'll see 3 solder locations. One to the left is going to be power common, but I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use the battery negative as my power common on this camera. So what I'll do is solder 2 wires on it, that battery external negative location, use one for the power common. Anyway, the solder location to the far right of the switch is going to be power, so you need a solder wire there for power. Then on the shutter switch, the top corner right up here by the zoom, it's going to be where you need a solder wire on for your shutter. And be careful you don't bridge that one to this metal housing that's over the shutter button. And then for video, I'm going to need to solder to the left corner here, the bottom left corner, for our video wire. And then for the microphones, you can just lift those up off the board and then disengage the ribbon. See if I can do this without tearing that ribbon. It seems like it's kind of stuck in there a little bit. Okay, and this one's going to be like the SZ7, I'm sure. It's got these little rubber boots over it, over the microphones. Get those rubber boots off. Okay. Alright, now that I've got the rubber boots off, if you look really close, there's a couple of solder locations on here, and you'll notice that one of them has a really small plus sign. So that's going to be where you need to solder your positive mic wire, and then the other one's going to be your negative mic wire. And the same thing with the other mic. If you're going to do 2 external mics, the one at the top in this configuration is going to be positive, and the one at the bottom is negative. Do this one again for you. On this side, it's the bottom one that's the positive, and the top is negative. Okay, so I hope I'm getting this in focus for you. Alright, so anyway, that's where you need to solder your wires for your microphone. So I'm going to go ahead and get this camera hacked, and then I'll show you where I'm going to route my wires, how I'm going to do that. Alright, I've got all of my wiring soldered on, and I'll show you what I did here. I've got my wires soldered onto the microphones, and I brought those wires right out through the slot on the plastic housing for the power and shutter bar. That way I'd make a neat exit point for those. And then for my power wire, which was soldered to this far right tab and behind the power switch, stuck it down in the slot. You'll see a slot in this board. And then for my shutter wire and for my video wire, did those the same way. And that's going to make it pretty easy to run my wires down behind the LCD bracket when I go to put the camera back together. For my externals, you'll notice on the top edge of the battery tab, place where the battery tabs fit down in, on this main board there's a small recess on this right side, and there's one on the left side. And I just took a little pocket knife, you can use an X-Acto or whatever you have, and the plastic that's right here, just scoop that out a little bit also, and that'll give you a little place to run those external battery wires out without pinching into them. And then on this side of the plastic housing there was a little stud that was sticking up, and I just snipped that off. And when I put my power board back in here, I'll bring the power wire, my video wire, and my shutter wire across to the left, and exit them right here and come in down the back side of the CCD, the lens assembly. So I'm going to go ahead and get my camera completely back together now, and then we'll come back and check the hack on it. Alright, so I've got my Panasonic SZ7 completely hacked now, and I've got it back together. And I'm going to check the hack. And I'm going to check my externals first. Get my multimeter and touch to my external battery positive wire, if I can find that in all the jumble here. Alright, so there's my external positive and my external negative, and I'm reading 4.07 volts, so I know my external connections are good. Since this is a Panasonic with a slide switch, we have to connect our power wire with our battery common. Alright, so I've got that done. Now I need to take my shutter wire and touch that to my battery negative, and I get a photo. So once again, do that and we'll get a photo. And then for video, touch my video wire to the battery common, and we are now recording video. Touch those two together again and the video stops, and disconnect power and battery negative. Camera power's down. Alright guys, this Panasonic SZ7 hack. I'm going to be using this one for daytime video and nighttime stills. The daytime video will have dual mics for the audio, and I think it's going to make another great little trail camera for us to use. Hope this helped, and thanks for watching.